So what followed? So you, after that composition, had you had any contact with him or anything?
I did. I stayed in touch with Bill. He had several jobs, a couple jobs before he landed at Northwestern University, and was there for the rest of his life. But I kept in touch with him. I had a kind of a really dark period of trying to reconcile myself to the Stockhausen influence. And there was some strained relationships happened with that, because I really was, I was incapable of shaking the charismatic personality of Stockhausen. And again, it was part of the history of the time. Today, nobody, he's like has a whole different reputation now. But anyway, during that period, it was a little bit of I had a little bit of an attitude. Let's put it that way, bluntly. I had an attitude about what was going on, and I became very, very narrow-minded about what was happening around me, because I was trying to become something I really wasn't made to become.
Well, it sounds like they were, a lot of your teachers, or at least
Yeah.
going back to the school, they had strong.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you were.
sure.
I mean, if I start taking a strong, then you're going to react.
I had
to
a
the
reaction to that, and I kind of sort of marked off my territory, But anyway, Bill's music was not conservative at all. He was a very eclectic composer. His music wasn't in favor at the school. They let him go. He was so skillful. He was such a good craftsman. And he only studied with one composition teacher before he got into the Manhattan School of Music. So he was not really a university type or a school type composer. He learned on he was originally a jazz saxophonist, playing gigs in the Poconos, in the Catskills.
Catskills,
Yeah.
okay.
But he was a lawyer. His father was a lawyer. He became a lawyer. So his music was not at all like Bartok or Prokofiev or anything. It was very, very informed music. I liked his music a lot. I should play you some of it. I've got some good pieces of his on record that I could play you.
So back to your growth. You were saying you were sort of in this period.
Yeah.
Of that. So how did you work through that, or where did it stay in the composition, or had you moved to the jazz at that point?
Oh no, the jazz didn't come until long afterwards, and it felt long afterwards anyway. Because after I graduated from college, I went to Philadelphia to study with Stockhausen. That was in '64.
Gotcha.
It was in '64. So then that was when this whole other thing locked in. I got really sort of trapped in it, and I've talked about that, and some of the other videos too. But the jazz thing completely blew it just wide open. It went absolutely in a totally unexpected direction for me, which was very, very positive.
Was some of that in reaction to the Stockhausen years, and this somewhat turmoil of people taking sides and composition and where does it go, and then you found, or is it just that?
It just happened.
Mm-hmm.
It just happened. I met these musicians in Illinois. They turned me on to all the music of the time. Miles Davis, Bill Evans, Gil Evans. It just completely. The same thing has happened with the Symphony of Psalms. It's like I was just smitten. It just knocked me off my Stockhausen horses, they say. And they knew that they had a feeling, these guys. They were all my age. They were a very sophisticated bunch of guys. And they knew that I didn't know anything about any of this, and that they said, let's let them know what's really happening. And the Midwestern scene has always been very, very adventurous in America up until the demise of culture, which I think happened when the Beatles arrived in America.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, at that time, I learned later that the flyover country, as some people call it, was really rich with freedom of expression, because once those guys got out of high school and they could all play well, because the high schools all had great music programs, because they all had parades, marching bands.
Right.
Every town had one. So they had high school music programs that were very, very good. So these players were very well equipped players, but not having the East Coast kind of the hip scene, East Coast scene and the hip West Coast scene, it was nothing like that in the Midwest. It was very transparent, very open. Nobody was trying to be hip. They had good chops, and they were free as they could be. Some of the most absolutely crazy, radical avant-garde music I ever heard was in the Midwest. Nothing on either coast could compare with it. Crazy stuff. And it was good fun, but it was also serious, innovative art forms going on. So when I didn't know how to handle that. I mean, I became a jazz musician. There's nothing else I could do. I had to become that. But I stumbled along compositionally. It was drying up. It got so dried up. Several pieces I wrote were just like a dead end, total dead end. I did not know what to do with my compositional background because I couldn't find any comfort level in trying to be, somebody beyond Boulez and Stockhausen. It wasn't me.
You think some of that's like what we were talking in there, that you do compositions, but you don't get a chance to grow, hear it play, grow with it. Whereas your jazz, you're right there at the piano. You're playing every night. You're playing with trios, quartets, so you have that growth as opposed to I'm working in my attic for months. I have this great piece. I hear it once, and now it's that's it.
That's right.
That has to sort of be. I don't know if stagnant's the right word.
It was very fulfilling on a lot of levels, and that's another big level it was, because I was now physically engaged in the music, because I was a player now.
You're right.
Everything that I had going for me as a pianist in high school, and for the little time I was a piano major in college, was now back in the forefront. I was a pianist again.
Were these some of these new jazz guys, you say, really forward thinkers? They saw in you, you didn't know that much about it, but that you were, you were really there. That your classic training on your keyboard must have blown them away when you started finding these, just some of these techniques and some of these sequences, and they knew that maybe you didn't really know them, but you already had the facility in your fingers to adapt to them quickly. Yeah,
and they took me out to play on gigs immediately, which was another big factor of the learning curve being so connected with the culture, because I immediately went out and worked gigs with these guys. They said, you have to come out with us because we need a piano player. You're working. And they had a lot of work in the area at that time. So I did, and I just learned, sitting in the seat. And, I did not know how to really do it well, because the ensemble problems of being a jazz musician in a rhythm section are very complex. And it took several years for me to get to a point where I had some sense of the required kind of oral skill to be able to play and hear the other parts and know how to fit in with them. I faked my way through for several years, and it worked. It was fine. Nobody could know.
Well, I've heard you play several times, and I know you enjoy solo improvisation, but I also know you enjoy ensemble.
Yeah, that's real. I feel much stronger.
with the right people, of course.
Exactly right. That to me was really a big part of the magic of the music. Was that the example I always use is, to me it was like, the Juilliard string quartet comes out on stage, and there are no music stands, and they just tune up and they look at each other, and they start, and out comes a Mozart quartet. They just sort of let one fly out there. To me, that's what the jazz world represented to me. It was like an instant form of creation. Hearkening back to the days when improvisation was much more of a part of everyday world of the musician, mainly in the 18th century and previously. But that I didn't learn until recently. But I think that was part of the magic. It wasn't, swinging and all that stuff. It was the intense compositional experience of playing in the ensemble.